Hi, and welcome to the third video in the course mapping tutorial series. The previous videos in this series covered purpose and structure. In this video, we'll walk through the steps of creating a course map that can help ensure that your course provides the information and assessments your students need to achieve the objectives.
Creating a course map is easiest if you start with Delta's easy-to-use template, which can be found at go.ncsu.edu/coursemap. Click on File and make a copy to start editing it. Step 1. Identify the course. The first thing you'll do is identify the course number, title, and instructor at the top. Step 2. Course learning outcomes. Next, list the course learning outcomes, sometimes called course objectives. If your course objectives have been created for you, use those. If you're creating them yourself or modifying previous course objectives, think about what you want your students to be able to do after they've completed your course. Begin each objective with an action verb. You can consult Bloom's taxonomy for action verbs that work with the level of your course. Step 3. Identify modules. In this step, you will add the modules or topics you'll cover in your course. Some instructors organize their course into a handful of modules that span multiple weeks. Some do one module per week, and some cover multiple modules within 1 week. Write the module titles in the first column. Add more rows to the template if you need to. Step 4. Add module objectives. The next step in completing your course map is to write learning objectives for each module. Just like with your course objectives, module objectives need to be measurable. Be sure you start them with an action verb. Module objectives are more specific than course level objectives. Think about what you want students to be able to do by the completion of each module. Bloom's taxonomy is, again, a great resource to help you develop your module objectives. Step 5. Align module objectives. In this step, you will indicate how your module objectives build toward your course objectives. This consistency, or alignment, is the primary purpose of your course map. You're creating this map to ensure that each piece of your course helps your students achieve the learning objectives. The things they learn in each module should build towards the objectives for the entire course. You may find that you need to rethink some of your objectives as you complete this step. That's a normal part of the process of completing a course map, and it's how you create this good alignment in your course. To indicate this alignment, you can note which course objectives each module objective aligns with by adding the number in parentheses at the end of each module objective. Step 6. Add learning materials. In this step, you'll list the learning materials used in your course. Remember that learning materials are resources that contain the information learners will need for the course. If learners will be using a specific online tool to access the information, list the tool or tools required. Step 7. Align learning materials. Each learning material in the course should serve to support the achievement of one or more module objectives. Note that you're aligning with module objectives here, not the course objectives. Indicate this alignment by adding the module objective number or numbers in parentheses after each material. If you find that a learning material does not really help students to achieve one of the module objectives you have identified, consider whether the content should be required or optional, or if you need to provide different material. If you want to require the existing material, then you might need to modify existing module objectives or add a new one to ensure alignment. Step 8. Add learning activities. Remember that the learning activities in the course include all the ways students build and practice applying knowledge they have gained from the learning materials. Learning activities should be active, rather than passive. This means that learners should do something with the information, not merely absorb it. And they should be ways for learners to prepare to be successful on larger course assessments. List all learning activities for the module and the tools that learners will need to use to complete each activity. Step 9. Align learning activities. In this step, you'll show how the learning activities in your course help students achieve the module objectives. Whether they are graded or non-graded, learning activities must, in some way, help learners to successfully achieve the module objectives. If you find that your activities don't really align with an objective, consider whether you need a different activity or whether you need to add or modify a learning objective to align with what you have. In parentheses, add the module objective or objectives that are aligned with each learning activity. Step 10. Add assessments. How will you determine how well your students are able to achieve the module objectives? Assessments are the ways in which you measure and evaluate how well learners can demonstrate the behaviors and skills stated in the learning objectives. These are typically the graded items in a course. Add the assessments along with any tools learners will need to use to complete them. Step 11. Align assessments. The last step is to indicate how assessments align with module objectives. Just like with other parts of the course map, alignment is critical here too. Take a close look at your assessments. Are you assessing learners in a way that tells you whether they met the objectives? The method used for each assessment should appropriately match the verbs in the learning objectives. It's not uncommon at this step to realize there's a mismatch. You may need to change the assessment type or method to better align with your learning objectives. Indicate the module objectives aligned with each assessment in parentheses. Mapping your course is a great way to ensure that all the pieces of your course work together to help students achieve the learning objectives. And breaking course map creation into steps is a good way to tackle it.
The next video in the series will compare different course maps so you can see how the template has been used for different courses.